The first time Arman Halim realized something was deeply wrong, it wasn't the icy rain soaking through his worn jacket, or the way his daughter clung to him with quiet hunger in her eyes. It was a silence. The kind of silence that presses against your chest and makes you feel like the world has already moved on without you. And yet, that same night, under a roof he never imagined entering, everything in his life began to change. If you believe in kindness and second chances, take a moment right now to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Heartfelt Stories. You never know whose life a simple story might touch. Arman had learned long ago that life doesn't wait for you to catch your breath. After his wife passed away unexpectedly 3 years earlier, he had become both father and mother to his 6-year-old daughter, Meher. She was a soft light in his otherwise exhausting world, a world filled with long shifts, unpaid bills, and the quiet fear of not being enough. Every morning began before sunrise, with Arman preparing a simple breakfast and walking Meher to school before heading to his job as a junior maintenance worker in a towering corporate building in the heart of the city. That building belonged to Saraz Holdings, a company known for its ruthless efficiency and its even more ruthless CEO, Zayra Khaleeq. People spoke of her in hushed tones, describing her as cold, distant, and untouchable. Arman had only seen her a handful of times, always from afar, her presence commanding entire rooms without a word. She was everything he wasn't: powerful, composed, and impossibly far removed from the struggles of ordinary people. But life has a strange way of collapsing distances. One stormy afternoon, Meher fell ill at school. Arman received the call during his shift, panic tightening his chest as he rushed out into the rain. By the time he reached her, she was burning with fever, her small body trembling against his. The clinic near their neighborhood was closed due to flooding, and the streets had turned into rivers. With nowhere else to go and no money for a private hospital, Arman made a desperate decision. He carried Meher back to the only place he thought might still have electricity, warmth, and safety, the office building. The security guards hesitated but recognized him, eventually allowing him inside. The vast, polished floors felt almost unreal compared to the chaos outside. Arman found a quiet corner in a seldom-used executive lounge, wrapping Meher in his jacket as he tried to calm her. Hours passed, the storm worsening, trapping them inside. What Arman didn't know was that Zayra Khaleeq had also been forced to stay overnight. A sudden system failure had required her presence, and by the time she finished, the roads were impassable. When she entered the lounge, she wasn't expecting to find a soaked maintenance worker and a feverish child sleeping on one of the couches. For a moment, she simply stood there, observing. Arman woke with a start, immediately apologizing, his voice filled with embarrassment and fear. He expected anger, maybe even dismissal. Instead, Zayra's gaze shifted to Meher, her expression unreadable but softer than anyone in the company had ever seen. Without a word, she instructed staff to bring blankets and medicine. The transformation in the room was quiet but profound. The sterile lounge became something warmer, almost human. Arman watched in disbelief as the woman he had only known as an unapproachable figure took charge with calm efficiency, ensuring Meher was cared for. The storm showed no sign of stopping, and eventually, it became clear they would all have to stay the night. There was only one problem. Most of the building's power had been redirected to critical systems, leaving limited heated areas. The executive suite remained one of a few livable spaces. And so, in a situation neither of them could have imagined, Arman and his daughter found themselves sharing that space with Zayra Khaleeq. It was awkward at first. Arman kept his distance, his gratitude tangled with discomfort. Zayra, on the other hand, seemed unusually quiet, as though something about the situation had unsettled her in a way no business crisis ever had. Meher, despite her fever, brought an unexpected warmth into the room. She smiled weakly, her small voice breaking through the tension as she thanked Zayra with innocent sincerity. It was a kind of gratitude Zayra wasn't used to receiving, simple, pure, and without expectation. As the night deepened, Meher fell asleep between them on a large bed, her breathing finally steady. Arman sat on the edge, afraid to fully relax, while Zayra remained on the other side, staring at the ceiling as if it held answers she had been avoiding for years. Midnight arrived quietly. The city outside was still cloaked in darkness and rain, the world reduced to the soft sound of water against glass. Arman had nearly drifted off when he heard Zayra's voice, barely above a whisper. She said she had forgotten what it felt like to care about someone without calculating the cost. The words were not directed at him. Not really. They seemed to come from a place buried deep within her, a place untouched by boardrooms and profit margins. Arman didn't respond, but something in his chest shifted. He realized that beneath her composed exterior was someone who had built walls so high, even she couldn't see over them anymore. Zayra continued, her voice fragile in a way that didn't match her reputation. She spoke of a childhood where love had been conditional, where success was the only currency that mattered. She had learned early to suppress emotions, to focus on control, to never let vulnerability weaken her. And yet, seeing Meher, watching Arman's quiet devotion, had stirred something she thought she had lost. Arman finally spoke, not with grand words, but with quiet honesty. He said that love doesn't ask for perfection. It just asks for presence. The conversation ended there, but its impact lingered. Morning arrived with clear skies and a strange sense of renewal. Meher's fever had broken, and the city slowly returned to life. It would have been easy for everything to go back to the way it was, for that night to become nothing more than an unusual memory. But it didn't. In the days that followed, subtle changes began to ripple through the company. Zayra became more attentive, not just to profits, but to people. Policies shifted. Employee support programs were introduced. It wasn't a dramatic transformation, but it was real. For Arman, life didn't suddenly become easy. He still worked long hours, still struggled to make ends meet. But something had changed in the way he carried his burdens. There was a quiet hope now, a belief that even the smallest moments could alter the course of a life. Zayra, too, found herself change in ways she couldn't ignore. She began to understand that strength wasn't about shutting people out, but about allowing them in. And sometimes it takes a single unexpected night, a shared space, and a whispered truth to remind you of that. Weeks later, she established a foundation in Meher's name, dedicated to supporting single parents and their children. It wasn't about charity. It was about connection, about recognizing the humanity she had once overlooked. Arman never asked for any of it. He didn't need recognition or reward. For him, the greatest change was seeing his daughter smile again, her laughter returning like sunlight after a storm. And yet, he couldn't deny that their lives had become quietly intertwined, not in a way that demanded attention, but in a way that felt meaningful. Stories like this don't always come with perfect endings. They don't tie everything up neatly, but sometimes they leave you with something even more powerful. A reminder that people can change, that kindness can ripple outward, and that even in the coldest places, warmth can find a way in. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to share, and comment. Your support helps stories like this reach more people who might need a little hope today. And before you go, here's a special request. Tell us in the comments, have you ever experienced a moment that changed your life in ways you didn't expect? Because sometimes, all it takes is one night, one whisper, and one act of kindness to change everything.